the deal? That's your boy Tag from Pro Wrestling Tag. You know what I mean? As of this recording right now, it is 6:19 p.m., August 13th, 2025. And I wasn't gonna make this video because I have another video tonight that I'm gonna create. But I do want to talk about this because, you know, we all know about Karrion Kross and his situation with WWE, the contract stuff, and you know, and everything else. Of course, you guys know that he is now officially a free agent. Him and Scarlett, right? Him and Scarlett are no longer with the company. And today he did an interview with Ariel Helwani, where he said a couple of things that it doesn't make sense. It legit doesn't make any fucking sense. So the two main things I got from this was, the first thing that he said was that they gave him a contract, right? Like sometime last week. And in the contract, right, I think he said that, you know, they gave him 24 hours to sign the contract, but also they didn't have a contract with for Scarlett, which doesn't make sense because you know they're both a package deal. You know what I mean? Him and Scarlett are both, you know, like when you sign one, you got to sign the other. That's like fucking, you know what I mean? That's like, you know, if I order, you know, if I get a basketball rim, I got to have a basketball, right? Or it's just not going to work. Hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Hold on. Yeah, sorry about that. I had to pick up the phone for a delivery. But going back to the Karrion Kross situation, right? It doesn't make sense for WWE to not give a contract to Scarlett if him and Kross are a package deal. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. It's like a gun with no bullets. You know what I mean? Like, you got, in order for you to use the gun, you need bullets, right? In order for you to use any kind of electronics, you need a battery. It's not gonna work. Now, I mean, she's part of his act. You know what I mean? So that doesn't make sense there. And then also, he mentioned how Triple H was not happy that, you know, he was not happy at the work shoot promo that he did after, you know, during WrestleMania, right? Which made no sense because if that was the case, right? Here's the thing. If that was the case, then why the fuck Triple H didn't take him out altogether? Why did he take him off TV and everything altogether after doing that shoot, you know, that shoot interview? Why? You know what I think all this could be leading up to? You know, this could be part of an episode for Unreal. It could be. It honestly could be. You know what I mean? Because there's some things there that make no fucking sense. No sense. He also mentioned how AEW, you know, he didn't have a conversation with AEW. That's not happening because of the situation that we see with Don Callis and Scarlett. Okay? It doesn't make any fucking sense at all. None whatsoever. Right? So you gotta think, you know, is this really a shoot? And that's another thing I forgot to mention too. Why is he still going by Karrion Kross? You know, like what he's using a WWE trademarked, you know, name, Karrion Kross, right? Nowhere did I ever hear anything about Killer Kross. Nowhere. It doesn't make sense. There's some things there that really does not make any fucking sense. And it's like, you know, how the fuck is this even going to work? You know, like it to me, I'm now starting to think that the whole thing could be a shoot. You know what I mean? He also never really, he even said that he wants to stay here. He wants to stay with WWE and all this other stuff. He wants to stay. You know, the other thing too is, let's say if this is really a shoot, right? And promoters are, I'm hearing that they are skeptical because they don't know if this whole thing is a work, right? Don't you think that? And Meltzer even say he can still take bookings. He can still take bookings, right? Don't you think that if this was a shoot, right? He will already have a booking right there, and he will announce the book. He will announce a booking right then and there. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm also hearing. I seen a comment that was read stating that that TKO is worse than Vince because they said at least with Vince he's playing games and yada yada yada. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Now, as I'm looking at this, and listen, if this is a shoot, and this is a big if this is a shoot that he decided to not stay with WWE because they didn't offer Scarlett a deal, then you know what? Kudos to him. Kudos to him. I don't think that's fair that you take one part of the act away from the other. That doesn't make sense. But again, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm clearly not buying it. Because if this was the case, if this was the motherfucking case, right? Then when they brought back Karrion Kross, they would have never brought back Scarlett. There's things that make no fucking sense in this. None. But we're going to see. You know what I mean? I'm about to be out. I will come with another video tonight. So I'm going to check y'all. All right? Peace.